Hi, my name is Nicholas Nappy. I am from It's Good College, where I just recently graduated in 2025. I have been in the director role, the producer role, assistant director, assistant camera, sound recording, boom operating, gaffing, grip work, editor, storyboard artist. Technically, I've done like 2 storyboards by myself, prop master, focus pulling, driver, and production assistant. And I wanted to welcome you all to my pet project. Now, this is going to be me teaching you about filmmaking. And this isn't going to be one of those other YouTube videos where it's about, I teach you how to quickly make a short film, which just basically goes over some brief ideas of what you could write for a script and the bare essentials. No, I am making this to teach you about the terminology and teach you what basically goes more on behind the scenes. And you may be asking why. Well, long ago, I have a friend who I was talking on the phone with about work, and he's not in the film industry like me. He is in computer science. And a lot of people who I talk with about my job often run into the obstacle of trying to understand what I mean with certain terms. Everyone, at the end of the day, understands what a director is or what a camera operator is, but they don't understand what a gaffer is or what focus pulling is. And I want to fix that. And that's why I want to make this. I want to make everyone who watches this more knowledgeable about the industry and have a conversation with someone like you are knowledgeable just like me. So where do we start? Here's the plan going forward. First, we're going to be talking about the basics of production, or at least the stages. So I'm going to teach you about pre-production, to production, to post-production. Then, after that, we're going to go into deeper detail about each part of the production. So, how roles are related to the set, or some of the equipment. And hopefully, later on in the videos, I can teach you by bringing on guests who have worked these roles to kind of ask questions or kind of really examine what it's like to be part of a said role. And along with those interviews, I'm hoping to kind of insert some of my own advice when it comes to working on these parts of set. Before we continue, however, I want to get a disclaimer out of the way. I am not a film professor. I'm not Film Jesus. Nor am I Stanley Kubrick, and watching me, you're going to learn how to make like the next Shining movie. Don't treat the lessons I teach here like exact gospel that needs to be followed all the time. Every set is different, and not everything here is going to apply. This is more of just an overall, this is what a set might or usually be like. To start the series off, I figured it would be best to give you all some basic advice about the film industry and film going forward. This felt too broad to put anywhere else, but it's still important nonetheless. So first, it's joining a production. No relying on job sites like Indeed or Handshake or something in order to get gigs. I've gotten a lot more work networking with people within the industry than just applying online. Then it's a matter of the interview process. While you're at the interview, gather as much information about the job and your role as you can. This is important because not only does this give you a good idea of what you're going to be doing on the job, but it gives you a nice overview of what's going on behind set, how organized or disorganized everything is. It also especially helps you look for red flags that you might want to watch out for in the future. Here are some questions I personally use and recommend that you use at your interviews. First question, how many films have you produced? This gives you a good idea of how many films the director or the production company has produced, and it gives you a good idea of how experienced they are. The new people to the industry may be a bit concerning, but not the end of the world. Next, what should I expect going on the set, or more personally, what should I expect to be doing going on the set? This gives you a good idea of how long, or how busy, or how chill the set is by itself. For the other one, what should I expect? What should I expect to be doing? That gives you a good idea of what your workday is going to look like. Is it just going to be hauling equipment around all day and minorly helping people here or there? Or are you going to be focus pulling? Are you going to be helping with the operation of the lights? And so on. Next, can I get a look at the script? Something to give you a basis on, I guess, your level of importance. If you're a production assistant just hauling stuff around, Some directors will just say like, no, you're just gonna be hauling equipment all around. You don't need to worry about it. If you're like higher up, like a gaffer or a camera operator, however, that's a little bit more concerning. Next, what are the call and wrap times? What are the call and wrap times I should expect? When you get this answer, this is not the definitive answer. When it comes to production, sometimes times can extend. Someone is not getting the take just right, or setup or breakdown takes longer, than expected. All factors. And while not perfect, it does give you a good measure of how long shooting is going to take. How often are production meetings? This is important to learn, so it shows how open you should make your meeting, or how open you should make your schedules, because missing a production meeting looks bad on your end. And just being able to tell the director ahead of time, hey, I can't make it, that makes it look better. But when it looks like you have the gig, consider very carefully how into it you are. Because secondly, when you're on a production, there's no quitting suddenly. It ruins relations that you have with the director, and it gives you a bad rep with anyone that the director happens to know, which it's kind of hard to tell. Unless you have someone to replace you, I would not recommend doing it. But if you really have no care about working with this director again or having relations with them, I wouldn't do it. But if you want to continue working on set, then third is showing up early. You see, when you show up 15 minutes earlier, it helps the director know you care, which is known for any industry. But it is especially important because stuff is always going to be changing on set. When you show up 15 minutes earlier, you are better informed on what has changed and what you need to do. Take what I did at the Kennedy Center, for example. I was there on time, but because I was the only one there on time, a bunch of stuff had to be done and I had to be moved to a new position in order to be helpful. And that's what I mean. Showing up early makes you better prepared to be on set. And then finally, for our last piece of advice, fourth, don't step on toes. Now, I know that sounds obvious, but there's lots to factor when it comes to doing it. What you say, what you do, even eating too much can count as stepping on someone's toes. That sounds ridiculous, but I'm not joking. That's part of some people's contracts. Actors famously have conditions in their roles where they need to have a certain type of food in order to get into the mindset. And when you suddenly think those raviolis are tasting pretty good, Brad Pitt is looking at you angrily like, what did you do? Now I can't act. And that's what I mean. It's something where you need to think about what you're doing before you do it. If anything, just for the basics, don't ask when lunch is, don't ask when wrap time is, and just focus on doing the job. But for right now, though, I believe that will be our lesson for today. I hope you all will decide to pick up those pet projects of yours and start working on your own little films. And I hope to remember to keep working on this, because with my luck, a bunch of gigs are going to come up and I'm going to get all distracted. But anyway, see y'all around.